Wrong way. Well, um, I've been trying to figure out this live streaming thing and what the ideal situation is for using a live stream. And it occurred to me that if I'm going to do it via my phone, which is the only thing I have available to me at the moment, is that I probably better just sit still because if moving around too much, then you guys probably won't. You probably won't get a good picture because the phone can't handle it. So, um, just sitting down for a short break, and I thought I would do a quick live video. Back a bit, so I'm lit up there. I thought I'd do a quick live video to show you guys, or to talk to you guys about some questions you might have, and some of the questions that I've been getting um, that I haven't been able to get back to. Mainly, actually, one of them that really kind of triggered me today for this video. And let's see. Okay. And the question was on a groundwork video, and it's a really common question. It's such a common question that the answer comes rather easily and quickly because I've answered it so many times. But somebody's trying to do some groundwork, and what they want to have happen is instead of their horse, this is what I'm guessing, because the question is, how do I make my horse move their hind end only? And the easiest answer without knowing what they're doing is to block what you're getting. If it's not what you want, block that. Goes an airplane. You block that, most likely, I mean, I'm guessing this person's on the ground because it's on a groundwork question. So you've got, should I wait for the plane to go by? Got a couple of small airports around here. It's been a busy day. I've been trimming and training, and got the trailer in the arena. Turn you guys around and look at that. You can see, just sitting here on, I won't go any further. You guys are on a motorized little system here. And so I've been busy in the arena, working with Gracie, because she sucks. She's terrible for getting in a trailer. The last time I tried to get her in a trailer, she just about killed me. So we don't want any of that. So we're working on that. But the question was, how do you get the hind end, just the hind end, to move instead of the horse going forward or backwards, I guess. The trick to getting just one end or one part of the horse is to block everything else. So if you're kind of asking them to come forward, you know, your hand's coming out and they'd go forward, then their front and their back end should move. If you draw back and you pull on their nose so that it comes in towards their body, they should stop the front end and only the back end should come around. Now, if that doesn't happen and they and they start coming towards you, and you're doing this, and they start sort of coming towards you, you're going to have to block that. And to block that activity, which is, I think, is the question being asked, you're going to have to either get bigger, or you're going to have to get louder with your lead rope or a flag or some kind of aid that allows you to tell the horse no, because you're blocking the movement towards you. And in such a case, they should back up. Now, you don't have what you want yet, but you've blocked movement you don't want, which can be almost as good as, well, it's making progress. So then you'd ask again, you draw the nose over and maybe you'd get the nose to start to come over with no feet. Well, maybe you'd quit there. And then maybe draw a little bit more. God, is another airplane? It's a beautiful day. I'm not surprised. I learned to fly a little while ago. Maybe 10 years ago, I took some flying lessons, got a license, and on days like this, yeah, you want to be outside flying around. It's early morning in Australia. See little comments come up. I'll see if I can kind of pay attention to these as I go. Um, but I do have, actually, I brought my tablet out too, just in case I missed something. I'll glance down. Anyway, so plane's gone. It's just, I loved flying in beautiful blue sky. You know, it's crisp out. It's not too hot, so you get a little bit more lift. Anyways, another topic for another day. Anyway, so when you do draw that, you draw the horse in and you draw their nose in, and you get them to kind of start to curl a little bit, and they might start to kind of come towards you. That front, if your horse is coming to you, I don't know what, it's probably mirrored, but I'm imagining the horse is going to my left, and that front left foot will sort of stumble in. Well, you'd block that, and then you'd reset the horse and start again. And you draw, and in time, and it won't take too long before they'll realize that moving their front feet isn't what you want, and they'll move their back end, or they'll shift, or they'll change their balance. At that point where you stop and you reset again, you reward them or encourage them somehow, and you get the back end, just the back end to move. Now, to help that, to augment that, this is a long answer to a small question, but to augment that, when you do draw the nose in, you'll draw the nose and your hand will go, and your body, you could even move your feet a little bit to their hip, sort of the front of their hip. So if you're sitting in the saddle, it'd be your hip, which is sort of in line of where their hip is. So if they still kind of lumber forward and they start to kind of go around you, you just block it. You block it, you back them up, and you make them stay, and then you work at it again. You draw the nose, go towards the hip, and they should, their butt should just move out of the way. And as soon as they do that, as soon as they give and they don't move their front, if they did move their front feet a little, you could forgive that at first, but in time they shouldn't. And when they get that back end over, you could even back them up another step. So you'd have them, you'd have the back end, here's the front end, here's the back end. The back end would come around, and if the front end came forward, you'd block it, and then you'd get maybe 1 or 2 steps back. You just put your hands up. I mean, you guys have probably seen it in the groundwork videos that I do. You just get big or you get loud, one or the other. So, okay, Northern Ireland. I've been to Ireland, but I don't think I've been to Northern Ireland. I think we just kind of stuck to the Southern Ireland area. Spent 10 days traveling around castles and driving around. Yeah, it was cool. I really enjoyed it. Really beautiful place to go to, check out. In Australia, I've been to Australia. I've been to Australia, I think, 2 or 3 times. Did some snorkeling. I did some talking. I used to be in the tech world and did a lot of stuff with technology. And I was a speaker at a couple of conferences. So that was cool. So I've been there. I love Australia. Found it a little bit expensive, but really enjoyed it. So, okay. Since we don't have any questions here in the live chat, the next question I have. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go back to Australia. I really enjoyed my time there. The weather was really nice. I got lucky. The snorkeling was great. I went out to some part of the Great Barrier Reef. I mean, everybody has to go, right? I was over in Sydney. I didn't go to the other side. I haven't been to Perth or anything like that. But over in Sydney, and yeah, very good memories of that. I had an underwater camera at the time. It was an old one that had a housing. It wasn't a GoPro. I don't even think, maybe GoPro had something out like GoPro 2 or something. So I've got these 640 by 480 videos. I mean, if it was on the screen here, it'd probably be about this size. I'll have to see if I can, but beautiful, really beautiful. Love the place. So, okay, a couple more questions that have come up in the, I mean, I'm trying to get all the comments that people send in. I really do try to get back to everybody. And a lot of people just say nice things, so they say thank you. And I say thank you for taking the time out to comment. Montreal. I've been to Montreal once. I'm over in BC, Vancouver, close to Vancouver, and been to Montreal one time. And Toronto, that area, and real quick. It wasn't very long. Nice place. I like Canada, so I'm biased. But I've been a lot of countries that I really like, so maybe I like them all. Connecticut. I've never been to Connecticut. Wisconsin. Oh no, I have not been yet. For the States, I've been to the East and West Coast, but I haven't visited the middle or the South. I've been to Florida. Traveled all the way down the West Coast to Mexico by car. If any of you guys know what a Pontiac Fiero is, I drove in one of those. A lot of really nice places to go. So, anyways, okay. Oh, thanks. Well, I'm glad. It's lovely to hear that people like watching the videos that I put together. I hope they're informative. Hope they're interesting. You know, I'm glad you guys like it. It means a lot. Okay, so another question I get quite commonly, and based on where we live, it's a forest. We live in it's the middle of a forest. It's beautiful, but we do get wildlife. We get coyotes, and there's little tiny coyote trails that travel across yards here as they go from one place to another, and we see them, oddly enough, quite a lot in the winter. You'll see it's easy to see the tracks in the snow if we've got some snowfall. Coyotes don't bother horses at all. We got a couple of cougars that have sort of been around the area. You hear about it mainly because we've got a couple of schools, an elementary school that way, an elementary school that way, a high school further down, and so people get more worried about kids. But there was a story about how little Minnie got chewed up by a cougar. So I wouldn't expect that a cougar would ever bother a larger horse, especially if there's more than one in an area. But a little mini horse, maybe on its own, I think a cougar would really mess with. But the question was, do the bears bother the horses? We get this question a lot. And I would say no. No, the bears don't bother. Oh, is that Zeus? There's Zeus. What are you doing, man? You dropped your stick. You dropped a stick. Look at how happy he looks. Happy dog. Zeus, where's the bear? No bear. I haven't seen a bear for a little while, but they're out there. Raccoons and stuff. But bears don't bother the horses. I don't even think they would bother a mini. I think a mini would be probably fine. They don't really mess with horses. So. Okay, good question. It's hard to read on that screen. Chrissy Lee, you comment a lot. Thank you for always participating. Do you have any good beginning exercise for a very dominant horse, alpha of the herd, that has almost no training with humans? Exercise to promote leadership and trust. I'm going to take your word, your judgment that the horse is dominant. Some horses present as dominant when in fact they're just really afraid. And most of the time when I approach horses, I approach them like they're scared. And most of the time they're scared. They may show as a dominant horse because they push you over, they kind of tell you what to do. They step on you or try to kick or bite, and essentially they're saying, out of my way, get moving, or come with me, something along those lines. And that may be perceived as dominant. And it may be dominant, it may actually be. So I'm going to sort of cover this twofold. One, it's a dominant horse. Two, it's not a dominant horse. It wishes it was. It'd like to be because it's so afraid. So, two scenarios can be tackled with one exercise. And the simplest exercise that you can do, and you can do this in big spaces, in small spaces, because you don't, no matter if it's a dominant horse or a non-dominant, but just really afraid horse. In fact, I would almost say that a dominant horse, a horse that is secure in its surroundings, will not generally try to push you around. Now, I understand part of the question is almost no training with humans. I think, based on my experience, horses, they may or may not differentiate between horse and human, but maybe not quite at the level we usually think that they do. I think that if you can exhibit the same amount of pressure and release that a horse can, then they will respect you just as much as they would a horse. And this goes back to the books that I review and the videos that I talk about, where we talk about feel and we talk about imparting a request or a demand sometimes to the horse, not necessarily through aggressive action, but through a real feel, really get them with you. So the exercise that I like to do with horses that I find are what are probably pushy or afraid, or they've just got their own thing to do and they're not interested in you. And what you want to impart to them is that your feet don't move, theirs do. And there's piles of signs that will give you an indication if the horse is truly dominant and fearful, which is hard to explain all in one go. But the exercise is this. So I'll cover the rest later maybe, but the exercise is this. You want them to move just a little bit. And so I think I've done it in one of my videos. I'll see if maybe I can find that. But essentially the exercise is this. You stand in front of them and you get their attention. You make sure that you have their attention. And they don't have to move at this point, but they need to not be kind of looking around and, moving off a little bit. You just want them to stand at first. And when they get that standing thing figured out with you, because any movement or any direction they try to go, you're going to just block it. If they try to go backwards, pull them forward. If they stop and they stay with you, release. If they try to go left, bring them right. If they try to go right, you bring them left. If they try to go towards you, get big, get loud, back them off. If they do any of these things, as soon as you ask for it, release. If you can help it, encourage them. Give them a little touch the nose, just gently. I mean, it is literally just touch and get out. Wait, see how they respond to that. See if they continue to pay attention to you. The wind's picking up, I hope it's not coming through. And then when you get just the standing part good, ask them forward one step. When they come forward one step and they want to lumber for a little more, stop them. Get fast, get big, and as soon as they respond, get out. And when you get forward, kind of ask for one step backwards. And there's a couple of leaves bouncing around with the wind. Anyways, sorry, I get preoccupied. And then when you get that forward movement and it's good and they stop, they give you one step, ask for back. Now, a lot of horses will kind of struggle here. They'll struggle with it as much as they probably struggle coming forward. And I would actually have to say that I believe that there are a lot of horses that struggle more with forward than they do backwards, because they can get away from you. Forward requires some trust, unless they're intent on bowling you over, which is why you're going to get big and you're going to get loud to get one step. Your goal is one step in each direction. When that gets good, get 2 steps. 1, 2. Don't get 1, 2. Get 1, release, 2. Same with back. Until, and here's the key, until you have it to where all you're doing is just using your finger or your body movement. And you might draw back, push forward. So drawing back to draw towards you, pushing forward to push them back. And every movement must have an equal amount of release to pressure. Because it's not the pressure that teaches the horses, it's the release. I'm sure you guys have heard that a million times. So, a dominant horse will connect up and understand what you want better by doing the smaller exercises. If you have to chase them around and stuff, you're more likely to get kicked, you're more likely to get hurt, run over. These should be slow, careful, quiet, peaceful exercises, so that they're more inclined to think that they want to hang around with you than try to be away from you. Hopefully that answers the question. If it doesn't, let me know. So, oh, Rhode Island, I've never been there either. I've been around a lot of places in the world. Been all over Asia. I lived in Japan for a while. Been to Singapore, Korea, Hong Kong, obviously Japan, Shanghai. Been to England, been to Ireland, been to the States, Canada, obviously, Australia, so Hawaii, that's a nice place to go. Halter training as a young horse. He's 11, then released to a herd for 8 years. Not aggressive, doesn't seem fearful. You'd be surprised. I've had a lot of people say that their horse isn't afraid of stuff or afraid of people, and then you ask them to do something and they way overreact. I did a video today, and I believe you. Sorry, I don't mean to say that I don't believe that he's not fearful. He is fearful, not fearful, not aggressive. Not aggressive is great. It really does mean that they aren't afraid. An aggressive horse is an afraid horse. That's a guarantee. You can't get away from that. But anyways, yeah, I did a video here with Gracie with the trailer, so I'll try to put that up later. Fear is so scary in horses because they're so fast and they're big and they're heavy and they can squish you, and that sucks because you get stepped on or kicked or bit and it hurts. I've had my fair share. So you start to get faster, you start to get a little bit more responsive, and you get quieter. I would say the people I respect the most that work with horses for a long time are not the ones that are still loud. When I watch them and they're quiet and the stuff they get done is with minimal effort, then I know that they've made it somewhere. That there's a lot of times that I wish I was at. So I definitely don't want to give you guys the impression I'm the expert, but I've seen a lot. I know I know what I don't want, and I know what I don't want for people, especially I teach kids, and I need them to be safe. I need them to be able to control the animal, and they're not going to get it by being overly loud or overly scared. You just get a scared horse that hurts themselves or hurts you. Okay. Teresa, hi. Thanks for joining the live stream. I hope my battery lasts long enough. I don't know how much juice I have left in this thing. 19%. Okay. My horse doesn't want to be tied. Once he broke a halter, how can I get him to stay without freaking out? Very fearful. think the stream died. I hope I'm back. I am waving. Yep. Okay, I'm back on my checking my tablet here. Okay, the question was the app crashed. Sorry about that. Teresa says my horse doesn't want to be tied. It's pretty fearful. This is so common. If your horse broke a halter, go get a rope halter. Nylon halters, leather halters, anything with buckles, anything that connects one type of thing to another, will break. I was leading a horse a while back, and it was a lot of trouble. He was so troubled. He just wasn't handling. Just leading from one place to another, and he put some pull on the halter, and it broke, and I had half a halter to control this thing with, which was pretty worrisome, and I had to get really quiet really quick. There's no more being noisy. Leather halters and nylon halters are not trustworthy. They're not reliable. They will break. They do not usually fit for the training that most horses need. So that's the first part of this. Get a rope halter. They don't break, and they fit better. And here's the second part of that. A rope halter will fit over the top of their head, behind their ears, over top of the nose, and under the mouth, like all halters do. The main difference between a rope halter I found and a leather or nylon one is that the ropes will come around behind the jaw properly, and the knot for there will arrive just under their back of their chin, not way forward and not down. It should come in here, not tight, but slim on them. Should be pretty good. The reason you want that is because when they do go to pull back on something, if you've tied them to a trailer, and sometimes you have to do this because they have to learn that pulling back isn't the answer. But when you go to tie them, not only do they pull on the pole, which really hurts, by the way. They don't do. I don't think horses do well when back here, only back here. So the bonus of a rope halter and a halter that fits properly is that they pull here on the back of their jaw and their pole at the same time. I think horses can tolerate a lot more just on their pole. So a properly fitting halter will discourage them faster than an improper. They need to be able to get out of their own pressure. It's gotta be bothersome enough for them to do that. So get a rope halter. That's my first suggestion. But more or less, they're afraid to be tied up. So whatever you've tied them to that has made them afraid, you're going to have to get them used to a lot more. Like I said, I did a video with Gracie. She's a basket case nut job of horse for trailers. It is such a lot of effort. Zeus is coughing off to the side, sorry. It's probably ate too much frog that I trimmed off yesterday. Get them used to whatever it is you're bringing them up to. You should be able to get to a point where when you lead them by, between you and the object of fear, they should just cruise right through nice and calm. Prepare them for what they're going to experience. Lena was a great example. She was deathly afraid of the trailer in the beginning. Anytime I tied her to it, and I think with enough pressure she would still do it. Let's ignore that. With enough pressure, she would pull back, but it wouldn't last long at all. And the rope and the halter never broke because it's rope. It's all rope. And she'd give up. And she's done it maybe a couple times, but yeah, they stop doing that. They can't break off. And this is my opinion. Take this opinion for what it's worth. Never tie your horse to twine. They break that twine. They know they can get off. They will try everywhere you tie them. Now, my theory is you shouldn't have to tie a horse, but sometimes you do. And the idea is that um, you don't want to have to tie your horse, but if you do have to tie your horse, they should know that if you tie them, they're not going anywhere. So don't even bother. So there's going to have to be a couple of times where you're going to have to just let them pull. So tie them to something strong, something sturdy, and reassure them. Be there with them. Don't just leave them alone. Help them through it, because it's scary. They're scared, and that's sad. You don't want that. So, sorry, it's a long, long, long answer. Does that help? I probably have more to say. Keep working at it. Work, 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 work. Encourage. Try to get them to where they're not afraid and it's not scary. So that they're prepared for the really scary thing you're about to do, which is to tie them and leave them. But don't do what there's some videos out there that people try to trailer train horses, and they just scare the crap out of them. They just leave. The app crashed again. What a piece of junk. Okay, let's get to a couple more questions. I've got 15% battery left, which sucks. I might just stick this thing on the charger. And thanks for answering my questions on the Down Under horsemanship. You're welcome. Yeah, everybody's got their own ways to do stuff, and some stuff works well, and you take bits and pieces. My stuff the same, you know. I always expect people to take what they want. Take what works for you. Lena being in heat. Can Luke still have intercourse with her being a gelding? I believe yes, but nothing would happen because he doesn't have anything that creates baby making stuff, no sperm. So I believe that he can, but they just don't. I don't think I've ever heard of that happening. But it's not that they don't, it's not for lack of sometimes trying. Are you doing more archery training? Yes, absolutely, Adam. I am definitely doing a lot more archery stuff. I do it. I don't get everything on camera. What you guys see is just a snippet of my day. I mean, if you watch a 15-minute video, that's 15 minutes of my day. The rest, pretty big. I'll try to get more stuff up. I love archery myself. I love horseback archery. I want more people to be able to do it. You should get into it. If you're not, try it. It's really cool. Teresa, you're welcome. Very much. Yeah, horseback archery is hard. There's a lot of steps. You got to get good at archery. You got to get your horse good at you shooting arrows and hitting a target, or missing it for that matter. You got to get good with swinging that thing around and moving arrows and the bow and stuff. And then you got to get good at riding. The other aspect of it, you got to get good at riding with no hands, because you have to shoot with two hands. So you have to be able to ride, you have to be able to steer, you have to be able to go, you have to be able to stop, all with your body and your legs. And I would really discourage, I'm going to get into archery more soon, but I would really discourage you from tying your reins. I went to a clinic one time for horseback archery, and the lady said, well, just tie your reins tight so that your horse is always held in so they won't go faster. I really discourage that. I don't think it's a good idea. It's a band-aid, and is a quick fix to a long-term problem that you can't solve unless you do it right, which is to be able to ride with your body, not your hands. The other tool that I see people sometimes, I think, died again. Thanks, YouTube, for being a piece of garbage. Actually, it's doing pretty good. Anyways, so the other thing that people will sometimes use is a running or a standing, or yeah, that's what they're called, running and standing martingales, where it holds the horse's head. I discourage from that as well, because again, it's a band-aid to a problem that you really do want to solve this problem. Trust me, This is something that you want to be able to do even if you're not doing horseback archery, but especially if you're doing horseback archery. Your horse is going to be able to need to balance through the different activities you're doing, because you're not always going to do it at a walk. You can do it at a trot, you might do it at a canter, and some of these people do it at a gallop. It's amazing. So without all those aids, get your horse good without your reins. So you want to do horseback archery, I do too, scales be up, but to give you some things to work on, it would definitely be make sure your horse is totally cool with you shooting anywhere near it, over it, around it, above it, beside it, under it, who cares, any of those things. And then get good with riding without your reins. I'll do a video on that soon, actually. Luke's really good at that. Let's see. Geldings are less interested in doing that. It's a good question. You know, I think they are. I think it takes it out of them. I think they just kind of go, well, I got other things to do. Maybe I'll go fight with my buddy. The plans for baby Gracie. She's going to be a riding horse. She's going to be good at everything that I can think of. Anything and everything that I can think to throw at her, she will get good at. She is very smart. Mary, hi, oh my GGGG. Hello. Announcements. Yes, I do have an announcement. It's not ready yet. It's coming soon. It's a new project that is extending what I'm going on here on YouTube and Facebook, but it's going to be an advancement of that. I've told a few people, everybody really likes the idea. So, but I want to make sure I get it right. So soon, I'm expecting this coming Monday to be when I announce it. Announcement for baby Grace? No, not necessarily, but I will be doing a lot more with her. Really, I already am actually. That's why the trailer's in the arena and she's trailer training. What happens if your horse starts to put its head down? What do you mean? Put its head down for when you're riding? Or just hanging out with you? I actually really like this live stream business. I might do this maybe every second day or so. See who wants to have a chit chat. Okay, when your horse starts to put its head down while riding, I talked to people about this. I think I'm running out of juice soon, so I might have to cut this short. We're at 40 minutes. Whew, I got things to do. When you're riding and your horse wants to put its head down, there are times that I would say totally cool. If they start putting their head down and they get what's called humpy, where if a horse's back is sort of like that and they get their head down like that and their back starts to do that, you know, starts to curl upwards a little, it's called humpy. If they sort of stay like this, maybe flatten a little bit, and you should be able to feel this, okay? And they kind of get flatter, they're putting their head down because they need to stretch out. They're trying to find a way to be a little bit more comfortable. But if you can sort of feel them get a little humpy and they get a little skippy, give it a one rein stop. Start again. But their head down is actually, I'd say 90% of the time it's a good thing. 10% of the time there's trouble. So you want to catch that. But a horse with their head down and stretched out and relaxed is very healthy. It's very good for them. They will be more comfortable rather than staying sort of rigid and upright. The fear is you're worried about the horse bucking. Totally normal. Yeah. It's a scary thing when they start bucking. I've been on a few, and you want to stop that before it starts. So if they want their head down and they kind of go down and they look like they're about to do something, give them a one rein stop, one way or the other, whichever way you've got the nose a little more. Get that stopped. Start again. So that sometimes is a habit you have to break, and sometimes they're just really worried and they'd like to get you off their back, but they'd have to be pretty worried for that. And if they're worried and you're riding them, and they'll do that, then you've already got a problem anyways. So think about it that way. If you've got a horse that wants to put their head down but they can't because they've got a standing or running martingale on, then you're riding a horse that is afraid. They won't be as responsive to things that you want when you want them. So hopefully that makes sense. Bareback riding with the pad. I'll probably start with Lena. The kids ride her bareback all the time. And she's like sitting on a couch, really, really nice to ride. Northern Nevada? Hi. I've never been in Nevada either. You're welcome. I got Zeus here. He's just hanging out right beside me. Hey, buddy. What do you want? Probably wants to play. Okay. Okay, well, I think I'm down to 5%. Yeah, it's complaining at me, low battery. I'll do another one of these videos again soon. Hopefully that's been kind of interesting. Thanks for coming in and watching and contributing, everybody. Really appreciate it. It's been great. I'm going to get back to work, and I'll be back. I have another video tomorrow morning for you guys. Did a bunch of stuff with Gracie. I got to do a little bit more, but she made a mess of the arena, so I got to clean that up. It never stops. Zeus is over here. Okay, well, bye everybody. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys real soon.